I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Marshall School Board. I've said this before, but I love it when a whole room of people say the Pledge of Allegiance rather than just us few up here. It's usually just us few. So welcome to tonight's meeting. Our next item is, Sarah, could you read our mission statement?
I can. The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sarah Runcie and a second by Tim to approve our agenda. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Oops. I didn't oppose it.
And the agenda is approved.
I didn't oppose it, but
Next item is our Steiger Spotlight. This is something we do on our second meeting of each month. We recognize a student from each building, one of the most favorite things that we do. So how we do this, if you are present, when we read your name, we're going to take turns reading the bios. I want you to stand up so we all know who we're talking about. And then at the end, if you could come up here, I have a certificate for you, and we're going to take your picture. So Mary, if you would start us out.
sure can. From Parkside, we have Madison Nyan, nominated by Mrs. Barker. Madison is an exceptional writer who approaches each piece with care and intention. She thoughtfully develops her ideas, taking time to plan her stories and ensure they are fully expressed on paper. Her writing consistently meets the highest standards, demonstrating correct capitalization, appropriate spacing between words, and accurate punctuation. Madison's handwriting is exemplary, amongst the strongest I have observed at the first grade level, and reflects her diligence in forming each letter with precision. Over the course of this year, Madison has shown remarkable growth in her writing skills, and I'm incredibly proud of her progress. Is Madison here?
Let's give her a hand anyway.
All right, next up is from Southview. We have Eden Lohr, nominated by Mrs. Leek. Eden exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding student through her dedication and hard work. Every day, she demonstrates a strong commitment to her studies, striving to achieve her best in all tasks and assignments. Eden's kindness and friendly nature make her a pleasure to work with, as she consistently shows respect and empathy towards her peers. Her positive attitude is infectious, creating a welcoming environment for everyone around her. Eden's ability to help others feel valued and included further enhances her reputation as a remarkable student. Her diligent efforts and friendly demeanor contribute significantly to the positive atmosphere in the classroom. Nice work.
And from the middle school, we recognize Alec Lorenz, nominated by Mr. Midtowney. Alec is being chosen to be recognized for this award because of his effort and attitude in and out of the classroom. In the classroom, Alec is always willing to participate in classroom discussions, help other students as needed, and tries his best on every activity. Outside of the classroom, Alec is continually showing great Tiger traits while also being a good friend and role model for his peers. Alec is one who, no matter what the situation is, he keeps a positive attitude. Congratulations, Alec.
I have the high school. We'd like to recognize Noah DeHeer, nominated by Mrs. Hanson. We are proud to recognize Noah DeHeer, a Marshall High School senior, for his incredible achievement in earning admission to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with a full-year 4-match scholarship through the Quest Bridge National College Match Program. Noah's dedication to academic excellence, leadership, and perseverance has set a remarkable example for his peers and reflects the best of our Tiger community. This prestigious scholarship is awarded to only 2,550 finalists nationwide, and Noah's success demonstrates his hard work and commitment to his future. We celebrate his outstanding accomplishment and look forward to the amazing contributions he will make at MIT and beyond. Congratulations, Noah. You will make Marshall proud.
From the Marshall ALC, Johnny Martel Lozano, nominated by Ms. Bastmeyer. Johnny has shown incredible growth since his first day at the ALC, both academically and personally. He is hardworking, inquisitive, kind, and thoughtful. He consistently puts effort into improving his work. Johnny makes a genuine effort to reach out to others, ensuring that everyone feels included and respected. He treats others with kindness and communicates in a respectful, positive way, which has made him a strong presence at the ALC.
And I think Eden was the only one here, I think. Is that correct? Eden, if you could come up, we would like to take a picture. Yeah, if parents want to take a picture, you're sure welcome. Let's give her one hand. Our next item is a public forum. Before we start, I have a few guidelines I'd like to present. Just reminders, board meetings are meetings held in public. They are not public hearings, so the board will not be able to respond. If there is more than one person in your group who wishes to address the board, please designate a spokesperson. We ask that you limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Remarks must be respectful and courteous, free of name-calling and personal attacks. Excuse me. Inappropriate language will not be tolerated. Due to data privacy laws, information concerning specific students or staff is not appropriate for this agenda item. Information addressing specific students or staff should be communicated to the appropriate building administrator or to the superintendent of schools. I'd also like to add that if anybody wants to talk to any of us outside the boardroom, we are more than welcome to do that. So, who wants to go first? Go ahead, Rick. And when you come to the podium, please state your name. Thank you.
I'm Mr. Chairman, school board members, Superintendent Williams, Budget Director Kirschner. My name is Rick Purrington. I have been a high school social studies teacher for 27 years, the last 19 here at MHS. I am also president of the Marshall Education Association, which is the proud union of Marshall Public Schools teachers and counselors. I want to start this evening by thanking you for stepping up to serve our community and our students. These are difficult times for our district, and I'm sure all of you have something else you could be doing in the freezing cold right now. But you chose to run for school board, to serve the students and the community of Marshall. So my question for you tonight is this: how do you best serve these two groups? First, there is no clearer way to serve the students of Marshall than to support the teachers and staff who work face-to-face with them every day. Yet, as we look at the proposed deep cuts to student-facing staff, I'd like to ask, are there other reduction options that could better serve students? Is there a better option than cutting a kindergarten aide who helps a 6-year-old to read. A math teacher who's teaching a 9-year-old how to multiply and divide. A language arts teacher who's teaching a 14-year-old how to write. The truth is, there are other options to save the district money and better serve our students. MEA has advocated for these options, from an early retirement incentive to seeing some sacrifices at the district office level, but these ways to save the district money are not on the list. MEA is willing to share these ideas again if needed. Second, there is no clearer way to serve the community than to listen to their concerns. Have you listened? Truly listened to their concerns? I listened to a lot of voters. I was a member of the Say Yes Committee along with board members Matt and Sarah. We were dedicated to passing this referendum. I set up the phone banking and I made 18 hours worth of calls to voters in our community. Of the hundreds of people I talked to, there were times when voters told me why they were going to vote no. The most consistently mentioned reason? Misallocated spending at the top. But you know what they never told me? They never told me that the district is wasting money on kindergarten aides. They never told me the district is wasting money on teachers. They were clear and consistent in what they thought about the district's financial priorities. Now, look at the budget reductions proposal that you are considering. Are the concerns brought up by these no voters addressed in your cuts? I'd like the board to think about what happens when the district goes back to the community to ask for a levy again. Are the cuts you have in front of you the cuts the community is calling for? If not, I fear not only for our schools for next year, but I fear what our schools will become when a levy fails a third time. Again, thank you for choosing to serve our students and our community.
Thank you, Rick. Again, just a reminder, we're trying to hold these each to 3 minutes, so thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Dan Smith. I'm the lead negotiator for the Marshall Education Association. I'm in my 24th year of service to Marshall Public Schools and currently teach language arts and video production and direct the theater program at Marshall High School. So, of course, I need to start by telling a short story. And I'm sure that every teacher here tonight has a version of this. About a month ago, I had an awesome lesson plan in place for a fantastic class of seniors in honors British literature. We were studying Shakespeare's Macbeth, a play that speaks powerfully to the world we live in right now, and my class was really engaged. I had used my prep period to create a new approach to teaching a couple scenes for this group of kids and was in a race to organize small groups, finish discussion prompts, and prepare the theater across the hall from my room for an interactive, culminating theater experience before class started. 2 minutes into the class, my principal, Brian Jones, showed up at the door, clipboard in hand, to do his annual observation, and I couldn't believe my good luck. It was a great day to have the boss in the room. But as we got going, things didn't go as I planned. Kids had some early questions I hadn't anticipated, and they were more confused about my instructions than I had hoped, so I could see we were going to be crunched for time. And then, when I took them into the theater, I found that custodial staff had moved everything that I had set up on the stage, and we couldn't do the culminating activity that I had planned for. I called the students back to my classroom and said, I learned a long time ago that if I was going to make it as a teacher, I'd better learn to be a flexible and creative problem solver, and I'm going to apply that skill set now. Mr. Jones laughed and nodded in agreement. I quickly retooled the lesson, made some necessary adjustments. The kids were great. The class period and the observation went well, just not as I had planned. That story's on my mind because it feels like a microcosm of what we've experienced here in the last few months. This district had a remarkably successful fall. And I felt a certain sort of energy and hope and enthusiasm that the levy would pass, and some of us even saw an early report that it had before getting the correct news. And now we must be creative problem solvers in a time of crisis. Of course, it was responsible and necessary to have a plan in place before the vote in case the referendum didn't pass. But as in his video address last week, Superintendent Williams said, the plan that's in place is very aligned to the plan that was shared at the Back to School workshop this fall. There have been very few minor adjustments to that plan. Teachers know a thing or two about adjusting plans to meet the needs of students. And I'm here tonight to encourage the board that now is the time to adjust the plan proposed last fall so that Marshall Public Schools can preserve as many student-facing positions as possible. That's what's best for our kids, and it's clearly what our community expects. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mitchell Maxwell. I serve a variety of roles in this district, including teaching at the high school, coaching, and serving as the vice president of the MEA. Our district finds itself in a challenging financial situation. During this time, our student-facing staff has been and is being asked to do a lot to problem solve to be more frugal, trim our budget, and meet the constraints of our collective negative balance. This includes, but certainly is not limited to, something as small as counting the number of sheets of printer paper we use in our classrooms. And we'll do it, because we know every dollar matters and its ramifications on the budget can have negative impacts on those we serve, our students. But that leads me and others in our buildings and communities to ask if the same thing is being done by the board. Are we looking into every possible solution to reduce spending to save the staff that works most with our students? Take MEA's most recent proposal for retirement incentive. This proposal is a win-win-win for everyone involved. It allows the district to save money, regardless of what that number is in the future. It allows our retirees an opportunity to responsibly retire early and allow younger and talented colleagues to stay in our classrooms. In fact, it has so much value, a lot of districts include it in their contract language. Are there other options like this? Absolutely. And it's the responsibility of any leadership to explore and implement them. I coach baseball and football for this district, and a staple to successful coaching is preparation. As a coach, when you game plan, it's your responsibility to prepare yourself and your athletes to be able to react to the known and perceived strengths and weaknesses of your opponent. However, once that first whistle blows or that first pitch is thrown, any number of things can happen that may cause that plan to change. It's the duty, and more importantly, the inherent responsibility of the most successful coaches to make in-game and halftime adjustments. The planned referendum failed. We've received our in-game information. It's halftime, and it's time for this board to make the adjustments necessary to serve our students by exploring every option possible to keep as many student-facing positions in place for next year. Thank you.
Go for it.
Hello, I'm Zinni Verscazzi, community member. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. The concern I have is around the process taken to make the necessary reduction in expenses and cuts. There is a lot of conversation in the community about the administration, transparency, and the top heaviness that is what is going on in the community. I think the public would like to see and deserves to have transparency in what the process was for looking at administrative reductions, and was it equitable in percentages of people or dollars to the faculty and staff reductions. Teachers will be asked to take on double class sizes, teach multiple subjects, move to grade levels they have not taught before, etc. And were those same considerations done at the administrative level when evaluating top-level expenses? I know the full benefit package for administration has been brought to the attention of this board already at previous meetings as just one example. I would hope that the dissatisfaction of the voters with the administration was heard and taken into consideration with this difficult process. The teachers were evaluated by a process of tenure, licensing, adaptability, and other factors. I hope that the administration also went through the rigorous process of seniority, degrees, duplication of job duties, skill set evaluation, all with student impact at the forefront of the district cuts. I sense from many conversations from people that there is a loss of trust in the community for the administration of the district. And with transparency in this communication of cuts, hopefully that can be renewed. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Cindy.
Hi, everybody. First, thank you for your service because I'm a teacher of 33 years and the past 26 have been in Marshall Public Schools, and I know what it is to dedicate to our community and our students, so thank you. Over the past several budget cycles.
Can you state your name, Brenda?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brenda Kellen.
We know who you are.
We know who you are.
Yeah, sorry. Over the past several budget cycles, the district has consistently placed the burden of reductions on teaching and student-facing positions rather than sharing that responsibility across all areas. Cuts have not meaningfully affected administrative roles, even though some positions, such as a former principal position that was created and had costly additions. The role is now being counted as an administrative cut, despite also being followed by a substantial retirement package that included district-funded health insurance. In the same budgetary deficit cycle, there were 2 people hired in the district office to replace 1. What makes this more concerning is the growth in administrative staffing over the last 5 years, despite stable student enrollment. While administrative positions have expanded, the majority of the proposed reductions are in roles that directly support students. Teachers and students are being asked to absorb the consequences of financial decisions they did not make. Federal COVID funds were temporary, and relying on them to sustain long-term staffing expansions was never sustainable. Additionally, recent community feedback is being overlooked. At the last board, well, I don't think it was the last one, but one of the most recent board meetings, the members of the Say Yes Committee shared clear reasons many voters chose no. Their comments mirror the concerns voiced for months by licensed staff and other community members. Ignoring this feedback risks widening the disconnect between district leadership and the community it serves. I respectfully ask the board to genuinely consider what voters and staff are saying, to revisit some of those proposed cuts and to explore additional ways to reduce costs. The Say Yes Committee and the Marshall Education Association have both offered ideas and the same concerns that I've just spoken of. Their comments reinforce what we see every day. Students and staff deserve a more balanced and thoughtful approach to these decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Okay, I'll let them file in. My name is Nicole Jens, and I'm here as a kindergarten teacher, and behind me are some of my fellow kindergarten teachers and our kindergarten aides. Okay. As the final vote on staffing approaches, the kindergarten team feels compelled to speak one last time from the heart. Preschool and kindergarten aides are a non-negotiable for the success of our students, our school, and our district. Preschool teachers, supported by the aides, provide foundational skills aligned with the students' developmental needs, building background knowledge, teaching emotional regulation, social problem solving, and supporting the basic needs. Many of these same problems are still present in our kindergarten classrooms. Preschool is not mandatory, and many students enter kindergarten with little to no classroom experience. At the same time, the academic rigor has increased dramatically over my 15 years of teaching kindergarten. Kindergarten aides are essential in meeting these growing demands, ensuring that all students are educated, supported, and prepared for success. They build strong relationships with students, support both developmental and academic growth, reteach essential skills, and manage many responsibilities of the classroom that cannot be met by a single adult alone. Their presence allows the teachers to focus on highly qualified instruction, effective differentiation, and meeting the needs of every child. Additionally, in our unique setting, many of our aides in preschool and kindergarten are bilingual, and they are there to comfort those English language learners, translate for families, and serve as a vital bridge between students, families, and the community. When students struggle academically or behaviorally, teachers are required to implement and document interventions, often delivered by aides through second dose instruction, social stories, proximity, and reteaching expectations. These situations happen every day in every kindergarten classroom, long before the additional supports can be put into place. We are willing to take on additional duties to help offset staffing challenges, but if aid positions, which your predecessors felt essential, are reduced or shared, we respectfully ask, what solutions are you prepared to give to the district administration and the kindergarten team for the problems these following questions pose? Who will ensure the safety and redirection of the behaviors? Who will provide intervention and second doses when reading intervention is full? And our classroom instruction returns to whole group instruction? How will we maintain high academic achievement in reading, math, and on our dibbles without this extra support? And who will be held accountable if these outcomes decline? Support will decrease if aids are cut. Students' needs and academic rigor will not. If we remove the support from the foundational level, the long-term impact will be felt throughout the whole district. Older grades will be teaching remediation. If we remove the beams of the basement, our house will fall. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we would like to invite you to our classroom to shadow any one of our aides for a full day to see what they really, truly do. Thank you for your time.
Nicole, you get back. Hi, I'm Teresa Slagle. I'm a kindergarten aide at Parkside. I've been there for 12 years. I'm here to ask the board to reconsider and prevent the proposed cuts to kindergarten aides. Kindergartners need help with bathroom needs, accidents, emotional regulations, transitions, and fine motor skills, along with other needs. Without aides, teachers will spend less time teaching and more time managing students' behaviors and their needs. One adult cannot safely monitor a full classroom of kindergartners during emergency, bathroom needs, etc. Cutting aides increases the risk of accidents and supervision failures. Aid cuts disproportionately affect students who already need the most support. Some examples of these would include students with special needs, English language learners, and children experiencing trauma and poverty. We understand budgets are tight, but kindergarten needs are a preventative investment. Since you are making decisions that affect early learning, seeing it firsthand would allow you to make a more informed decision. It's difficult to understand the scope of an aide's responsibilities without personally seeing the impact we have on students each day. The teachers and aides would like to encourage you to come visit our classrooms. A 30-minute visit, even, any time of the day, really shows how essential the aides are and to our earliest and most needy learners. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Samantha Weber. I am the current head coach of the high school gymnastics program, a former athlete of the team, a representative of our booster club, and a coach of our youth gymnastics program. I also have many of our student athletes with me today. I want to begin by acknowledging the difficulty of the situation the district is facing following the referendum. I understand that these decisions are complex and not taken lightly. I'd like to briefly share that throughout the referendum process, our athletes and families have experienced uncertainty. I believe that moving forward, stronger communication and collaboration with program leaders will benefit everyone involved, especially our students. Tonight, I would like to share my perspective on the gymnastics program, not only based on passion, but on experience, growth, and long-term sustainability. Gymnastics has shaped who I am today. As a former athlete, I experienced firsthand the discipline, resilience, teamwork, and confidence that this program provides. As a coach, I now see those same qualities developing in our current athletes. In the spring of 2023, we created a youth gymnastics program initially called Tiger Area Gymnastics for ages 5 through 12 with one clear goal: to build a strong, accessible pipeline into the high school gymnastics team. This is the first organized youth gymnastics program in Marshall to give elementary and middle school student athletes the opportunity to compete locally and across the state. Since it began, our youth program has grown beyond what we initially imagined. We now have 6 club teams, with 2 of those teams competing through the Minnesota Amateur Gymnastics Association. Additionally, we offer recreation classes, private lessons, and continued support for our junior varsity and varsity level. To give you a sense of the reach of the youth programs, in 2023, we had a total of 724 total participants combined across all 4 seasons of the year. In 2024, 681 participants. In 2025, 699 participants. When looking at 2025 alone, that represents 299 unique athletes participating across our youth programs. These are students and families actively choosing to engage with gymnastics in our area. That level of participation demonstrates strong interest, strong community support, and a program that is not declining, but growing. This youth program exists because families and students believe there would be a place for them at the high school level. Removing the high school program does not just affect our current athletes, it disrupts a strong pathway and sends a discouraging message to hundreds of younger students who are excited about representing their school one day. Ultimately, I ask the board to consider the gymnastics program not as a single line item, but as a connected system, one that includes youth development, community engagement, and long-term student involvement. Thank you for your time, for listening, and for your continued service to our students in the community.
Hello, I'm Nathan Green, father of Lila Green, a gymnast from Marshall Gymnastics and current Marshall Gymnastics superfan. No ball or puck is necessary for this sport. Just your strength, sheer will, the guts to believe in yourself, and the hope your body can keep up with your mind. That level of self-awareness and confidence is where these girls live. They exercise that discipline every time they decide to add a new skill to their personal repertoire of amazing physical feats. If ever you had the pleasure of watching them, you'd know you're witnessing something very special and something I'm very proud we have available to these young ladies and the young ladies in our community who aspire to join them. They have worked very hard over the years to get where they are, having the confidence in their flippin' amazing coaches, Marshall Gymnastics, Marshall Community, and the Marshall School District to allow them to continue to grow and meet their goals of becoming a Marshall Tiger gymnast. Marshall is now fortunate enough to have a highly functional, year-round facility which serves as the home of our successful, growing, thriving, popular, and powerful feeder program for the Marshall Tiger Gymnastics team, something many communities do not have. As a goal, Marshall Gymnastics veterans have been able to move up to Marshall Tiger Gymnastics with great success since its founding, improving the overall skill level of the team. Just think of where the Tiger Gymnastics team will be in 10 years, when some of the Marshall Gymnastics' current younger gymnasts ascend to their goal of becoming a Marshall Tiger gymnast. I'm excited to find out, but very fearful of their fate if this goal of theirs is taken from them for no fault of their own. We all know that if a student athlete wants to strive to be successful in a sport, it seems they almost need to choose their sport earlier than ever. Only within the last few years have the girls of the Marshall area had the choice to begin proper gymnastics training as early as other sports in our community. Many of this year's 299 unique athletes, including my daughter, have chosen this to be their passion. If it is taken away, are they just expected to pick up a bat, a racket, a hockey stick, and have the same skill level and seniority that other girls in other programs have been passionate about for the same duration of time? Likely not. Look, I'm not too proud to beg, so I'm begging you. Please leave Tiger Gymnastics as an option for our girls to continue their passion. As Marshall Tiger gymnasts, beacons of strength, determination, and confidence as they proudly represent their school, and later as they bring those attributes out into the world as alumni of Marshall Senior High School. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gymnast salute.
Hi, I'm Larry Lamont. I'm a grandparent of two girls that are competing in the gymnastics program. We are here tonight as proud grandparents of the granddaughters who participate in the gymnastics program. We've had the privilege of watching them both grow through the sport, not just as athletes, but as young people. Gymnastics has taught them discipline, confidence, responsibility, and resilience. We've seen how proud they are to represent their school and how much the program means to them. All the students have worked hard, put in many long hours into the love of gymnastics to be the best they can be. For these students, gymnastics is their connection to the school, their motivation, and their sense of belonging. We respectfully ask the board to consider the decision, explore, create solutions, and give families a chance to help sustain this program. Once a program like this is gone, it's very difficult to rebuild. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Emma Hoverston, and I am a teacher at the high school, working primarily with our English learners. I understand that budget cuts are necessary, but I would encourage you, as the school board, to reconsider some of the proposed cuts, as these cuts disproportionately impact our most vulnerable learners. The first cut I would ask you to reconsider are the parent-student connectors. Our parent-student connectors support all aspects of our school for our multilingual families. They provide translation services at conferences and open houses, help translate important documents, such as letters to families, helping building administrators visit with families when a student is struggling, and most importantly, serve as a contact person, eliminating the language barrier between families and the school. Research shows family involvement in a student's education is extremely beneficial. Cutting parent-student connectors creates more barriers for our multilingual families rather than removing those barriers. The second cut I would ask you to reconsider are the cuts to CTE and art. FACS, art, and agriculture provide opportunities for students who may struggle academically a place to shine. Students who have IEPs or 504s, as well as our multilingual learners, can and do very well in these settings. These courses also help to develop vital life skills and career skills and can help bridge the gap between core classes as vocabulary and concepts can be interdisciplinary. These opportunities offer a community for our students. This leads to increased attendance and graduation rates, as well as increased chances of meaningful employment post-graduation. Please reconsider these and other proposed cuts, as they will have a direct and negative impact on all our students, especially our most vulnerable learners. It is important to balance the budget, but we need to prioritize positions that work directly with students and families and seek additional avenues of reducing costs, such as offering a retirement incentive. Let's live up to our mission statement and do everything we can to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Amy Gillingham, and I'm currently serve as a dual role for Marshall Public Schools as the administrative assistant at the Career and Technical Institute and as the district's communications coordinator. I began with the school in July of 2023. This position was created intentionally. The CTI building was new, and the district recognized the need for on-site administrative support. And at the same time, our community asked through survey for stronger communication and a better social media presence to help them feel more connected to what is happening inside our schools. My role is designed to meet both those needs. When I started as communications coordinator, our district social media reached about 72,000 views a year, which is a very small presence. Over the past 2.5 years, I've worked intentionally to change that so our students are seen and our staff are celebrated. I tripled our followers, and in 2025 alone, our content reached 6.1 million views. But behind those numbers are faces, names, and moments. The students winning games, performing on stage, learning new skills, finding confidence, and being recognized for who they are. I've been there to capture those moments at games, concerts, parades, etc., sometimes at nights and weekends. Beyond communication, my role at the CTI is student-facing and staff-facing every single day. I answer the door and phones, take attendance, find subs, assist students when they need help, and support our teachers so they can focus on instruction rather than administrative tasks. I help with various different things, CT, newsletters, much more to keep the building functioning smoothly. Most importantly, I'm present for students. Eliminating this position impacts far more than just one employee. It means removing all of administrative support for the CTI building, leaving teachers without assistance and students without a consistent point of contact. It directly affects the learning environment and daily operations of a program that was created to serve students who benefit from hands-on, career-focused education. I don't believe that reflects our commitment to equity or to student success. The proposal before you would leave the CTI with no administrative support at all. I do not believe that is fair to our CTI teachers, students, or the mission of the program. It needs consistent administrative support. Over the past 2 years, I have demonstrated measurable results and have created a strong connection between our school and the people we serve. I feel cutting a highly visible student-facing and community-facing role after the progress sends the wrong message about the value we place on communication, relationships, and support. I fully understand the difficult financial decisions the district is facing. However, I respectfully ask that the board look closely at other areas before eliminating a position that directly serves students, supports teachers, and keeps our community informed and engaged. Communication matters, presence matters, and support matters. Thank you for your time and consideration and for the work you do on behalf of the schools.
Anyone else?
Great. We're going to argue over who's going to go next, so I'll go.
Fine with that. Good evening. My name is Denise Smith. I have been teaching for 22 years, and this is my 10th year as an 8th grade language arts teacher here at Marshall Middle School. No one likes cuts, but with the second failed referendum, we all understand that cuts are necessary. This is a challenging time in our district that asks for a great deal of discretion and wisdom in our decision-making. Now is the time to focus on what we need rather than what we want, to do what is necessary rather than what is easy or convenient. With 2 language arts teachers at each grade level in the middle school right now, we do not currently have enough teachers to serve the needs of our students. Now, the proposed cuts would put us at 1.5 teachers per grade level. We currently have twice as many students in our reading interventions as the intervention recommends. These are ideally groups of 5 to 6 kids, but can be maxed out at 12 kids in difficult circumstances. We currently have 23 in each of our 8th grade intervention classes. And there are still students who need interventions that aren't receiving them because we don't have enough people to provide those interventions. The time set aside for this intervention recommended is to be 90 minutes. We have 30. The discrepancy is large. The need is extreme. This is not a place to make cuts. On the other hand, in addressing the social, emotional, and behavioral needs of students, we now have overlapping positions and programs that, although very nice to have, are not as necessary as they once were. We have been a PBIS school for more than a decade. Then we added BAR, an SEL teacher, and a BAR coordinator / instructional coach. In addition, this year, we added a new SEL program that is built into our new language arts curriculum. That is 5 avenues of addressing student need in this area. This feels like an overcorrection in the face of the dramatic challenges we face in teaching kids to read and write. Every teacher is an SEL teacher. Every teacher is a BAR teacher. And I would argue, with the work we do in PLC, every teacher is an instructional coach. But not every teacher is a language arts teacher. So I ask you this evening to practice discretion and wisdom in your decision-making. Focus on what we need rather than what we want, and do what is necessary rather than what is easy or convenient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Kathleen Knights. I am a mother. I'm a parent of 4 kids in our district. I'm a coach, I'm a business owner, and I am a community member. At my core, I believe that my job as a human being, as a parent, as an advocate, is to do what's best for all of our tiny humans from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't up here addressing you as a school board. So first of all, thank you. Thanks for running for election. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your life to be here and listen to what we all have to say. I have a list. So when I look at our mission statement to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success, that is our core purpose. All learners for success is everyone. I'm a learner. You're a learner. Our teachers are learners. Our students are learners. Our kindergarten aides are learners. Our preschool aides are learners. When we come to the table and propose the cuts that are being proposed, it is not setting all learners up for success in the changing world. The Marshall community supports and embraces our educational mission through building and maintaining strong community based on partnerships. We've heard from many community members, many school members, that we don't feel, the community doesn't feel like we are embracing our educational mission when we are proposing cuts that are not best for all of our students. Another one of our, in our mission statement says, we do the right thing even when no one is looking. Well, everyone is looking now. Are we willing to do the right thing? I invite you to maybe take a pause on the decisions that are in our agenda today. Approving some of the ideas of the cuts that are being proposed. You as a school board have you're in an amazing position. You have the power to push pause. Maybe come back to the drawing table, listen to what everyone in this room has said. We are communicating our needs, our thoughts, what we feel is best for our student community and our community in Marshall. I think it would be, I just invite you to take time and actually listen to the community members and what we've been asking you to do. Some of these cuts have to be made, and we understand that, but what we're asking is that you sit down with everyone at the table. Our union has proposed some different options. Some community members are willing to sit down and propose different options. I think we need to look not necessarily at what we think might be easy. It's not going to impact as many students. Every single personnel cut that is being proposed is going to impact every single student that walks into our buildings every single day. The cuts that are being proposed are face-to-face interactions. These are teachers and adults that are working with kids face to face. Again, the kindergarten teachers and the aides have invited you into our buildings. Please come into our buildings and actually see what we do every single day before the decisions are made to make the cuts that are proposed. It is our responsibility as community members, it is my responsibility as a teacher in this district to again invite you to push pause. Take a moment and not rush into any decisions. Just because it was proposed, it doesn't mean we have to have a yes vote. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, thank you for all your comments. We will move on to the next item on our agenda is our presentation, our CTE program. Welcome, Dan and Brian.
All right. Well, thanks for having us here tonight. Myself and Dan Hoffman would like to just take some time and provide you all with an overview of exactly what career and technical education is and some of the components. And so we'll kind of do a tag team tonight. So we'll start with just an understanding of what career and technical education is. And so what we're talking about is a sequence of courses in a variety of areas that integrate the core academic knowledge along with the technical and occupational skills that are really in high demand areas within our area and many areas throughout the state and the nation. And so career in tech ed is really designed to provide students with pathways to post-secondary job-specific skills and those careers. And so we talk about, so it's integrated with the academic and the technical skills. So there's the theory that students learn, and then they often will go into a variety of lab-type settings to learn some of those technical skills to prepare them and expose them to the diverse careers that are available. And so there's a strong element in all of the career and technical education to career exploration. So it's not just specific to maybe that one course, but then those, what I would call those sort of sibling type courses that spin off of those courses that we have here at the high school and in our secondary level. And so really these courses and what they learn are transferable skills that they can then take with them and use in these high demand career areas. And so there's really three interdependent components that are available for students. And so again, it's the classroom knowledge, it's the work-based learning that goes along and supports that classroom knowledge that where they gain this technical skill development. And then they also have the third component is up here, it's called CTSO, and that stands for Career and Technical Student Organization. So if you think about, for instance, a business department, we have our Business Professionals of America. We think about our agriculture, we have our FFA organization, we have our health science, we have our HOSA, which would be that student organization, and that's a key component of career and technical education. And so again, it's really combining that theoretical knowledge with that hands-on exposure. And so the state recognizes a number of career and technical program areas, and so you can see those listed on the left. And then those that we currently have available in Marshall Public Schools. And so we're fortunate that we do have a fairly comprehensive career and technical education program within our district. And we've been able to maintain that going back 20 years prior. If we go back to the years of No Child Left Behind, we saw schools around the state, schools around the region, and around the nation make large cuts and shifts. And we've been fortunate in our community that we've been able to hold on to those. And in the last few years, we've expanded and added some new ones. And health science would probably be our most recent one that we've been able to add. So that's certainly been a positive. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dan, and he'll continue walking you through this.
Go the right way here. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is talk about specific components that you can find in a CTE program. One thing that people probably don't really realize is that we actually have standards in shop class. All our standards are brought into from the industry, from all the college experts and so forth, and yes, they are embedded within those programs. In order to have our program, you have to list those. And I know some of the teachers that had to create all those syllabuses understand that we have to list all the core concepts that we are going to cover within our courses. So they are standard aligned. And what's really nice with some of the courses, they are actually interdisciplinary. What I mean by that is, I'll give you an example, is a construction class, for example. I could give or do a lesson on estimation. And with that estimation, there's a lot of math that's involved in that. A lot of geometry can be involved in that. How many squares of shingles do I need for my roof, for example? That is interdisciplinary in its approach. Work-based learning is another component of it. I like to look at we're trying to teach those skills to work, okay, to help our students find that job down the road. Work-based learning is a key factor in what we get our kids exposed to and what's out there in our communities. So internships, apprenticeships, job shadowing, all that plays a role into that. We talked about the CTSOs. The one thing I'm going to add about that is we can do leadership stuff inside our classroom as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be an organization, although on our program approvals, they like to see that. But as long as we describe how we can build those leadership skills, we can make we can get those program approvals established by just describing that area. One way would be through, well, let's talk about construction. And since I'm a construction major, that's why I rely on that as much. If I'm building a shed, I can break that down to teams of 3 to 4. I can assign a team leader to that building of that shed for that week or for that day, depending on how many jobs we have. And then I can rotate that through my students. They have to be then responsible on that day's project or that week's worth of work, making sure, you know, they have all the supplies, all the tools, etc., just like a construction manager would have to do, for example, on the job site. So we can establish those leadership skills within our own programs. Industries, facilities, we have to have what we would see in industry or similar to what we see in industry. So our plasma table, for example, that we just got. It's crucial that we have those industry-based machines so those kids can get an introductory level skill set so where they could go to work right away from high school or go to the next level of a tech school and so on. It just helps us bridge that gap, and employers like to see that too, because then they understand that there's some knowledge there that those kids are coming in with. Partnerships is a huge undertaking for us. If we don't have good partnerships with our local community businesses and so forth, it's very hard to run a program. They're the ones that guide us on what we need to do. So if, for example, in our partnership team with our health sciences, one suggestion was that we need to do an EMR class. Well, it's going to take a while for us to build that up, but we are in need of EMRs around here. We can't do EMTs because EMTs have to drive the ambulance, and you got to be 18 in order to do that. But we can start training them being an EMR, and so that's one direction we could go. So if we take the advice of that partnership team, that helps guide and build our programs. Course sequencing, in order to have a program, you have to have 2 classes and they got to be sequenced. So like a welding 1 and a welding 2 in order to build a program. We have to show that in our program to be able to go from our basic level to a post-secondary level. And then finally, data-driven. The state, you guys know that state always collects a lot of data, and of course that drives our program as well. Some of the benefits here, I'll just go quickly through this. This data is from the state, but the graduation rates typically are higher for students that are involved in a CTE program compared to 83.6% overall. Out of that 92%, 65% actually pursue further education. It could be all the way from a 2-year school all the way to an engineering program. Out of that, 86% of those actually have a job when they leave, especially in high-skilled jobs in those 2-year degree programs. For example, electrician. Electricians are in need everywhere, and they pretty much can get a job right out of college. Industry credentials. Students here can earn certifications or college credit. Now, that college credit is through what we call articulation agreements, through tech schools or actual college, 4-year degree colleges. And I can talk about it a little bit more, but students can earn those, and it's one thing that we actually need to work on. I'll get to that in a minute. But the community impact, that's why we're doing this, is to address the workforce needs of our community. That's why we have these programs. Okay, that's what drives our programs. And so that's a big impact from our CT program.
All right, I will talk about some of the challenges that face career and technical education programs, and the first one really is staffing. And we have some staffing challenges, and the biggest staffing challenges is finding instructors who possess that teaching skill set, but also the industry knowledge to up-to-date industry knowledge. And so the ability to recruit and then retain is difficult. And in a rural area, that makes it sort of doubly more difficult to do that. The other part, that problem kind of gets exacerbated by the competitive private sector jobs in terms of the salaries, the higher salaries. And then on the teaching side, there's, of course, the strict licensing requirements. And so it almost becomes a double-edged sword, if you will, in terms of recruitment and retainment of people in these high-demand sector areas. How do we get around that? Some innovative staffing solutions, and the state has provided some relief in terms of teacher licensure for folks who are career and technical education. It helps. It's not a solution, but it does help. And the tiered licensing and then a different set of rules, if you will, for career and tech ed. The second challenge that career and tech ed has is just the cost of the programs. And often because of, like Dan mentioned, the specialized equipment, it is more expensive to operate than the traditional academic course. So if we think about what we have in Marshall, so I think about like our automotive lifts and tools. I think about our hospital beds that we need to have for our health science classes, the culinary kitchens and family and consumer science. It's not just a residential type of kitchen like we all have in our homes. And so then oftentimes you have sort of these facility upgrades when you go to update your career in tech ed. That's a challenge. Transportation for our students. As you know, our CTI Center is off-site from the high school, and that does present some challenges to be able to make those courses and those opportunities available for students. And so we're working on that. Recruitment and retention of instructors, like I mentioned. And then just in terms of how much more does it cost? By some estimates, a career and tech ed program costs between $900 and $1,500 more per student as compared to a standard education program. And I'll just say before I turn it back over to Dan, having a career and technical education program in a high school is vitally important. It is just as important as it is for those traditional academic subjects. And they really do work hand in hand. And it's not a situation where these courses and programs are competing against one another, but it really creates a holistic high school experience for students that prepares them well for the workplace. And on the academic side, what they learn in those classes is completely transferable over into our career and technical education. So they complement each other. They don't compete against one another.
I would add to that too, just not to interrupt your presentation, but just from the financial side of things and talking about the expenses of equipment and such. One of the big reasons I think our CTE and CTI programs have been so successful is our community support. We've had amazing donations coming in from various business leaders in our community, and it's been huge. Also large businesses, we have some significant grants that have funded a lot of that equipment and costs to get those programs going.
I don't know that schools could do it without those community partnerships.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and where we're at, and then kind of finish out this presentation. We've been doing essentially vocational training ever since the colonial times. If you think about building saddles, teaching other young kids to do saddles and so forth, wagon wheels, etc. But the federal government never really got into it until 1917, when the Smith-Hughes Act was established. That's when they really said we need vocational training, and they're actually going to put federal dollars behind it. Then to fast forward up to 1984, the next big one was the Carl Perkins Fund. The Carl Perkins grants and acts that have come out, that system, we're up to version 5 now, since 1984. And that's really what shaped us today. That funding that came through and the requirements that we have to meet for Carl Perkins, that basically is what has brought up to the present here, where it's an integration of all the academics as well as the technology and leadership. Okay? And just that's the latest number that we have there from Minnesota, that 124,000 secondary, and there's 39,000 post-secondary participants. That's students that are in CTE programs back in 22, 23. I know it's increased since then, because the shift now from back in the early 2000s, No Child Left Behind, to now what's happening now, people are realizing we need that skilled workforce now. So that shift is trending back to where there's more students going that CTE route. What are the kind of trends here in Marshall? We went from 3 certified programs to 8 within the last 4 years. And actually probably the last, about half of those, there's 5 additional ones, so probably about 3 of those were in the last year.
And that includes working with our existing staff to help them obtain their vocational license through alternative licensing pathways. And so we have several teachers who are continuing to make progress on that to try to become fully licensed in career and technical education so that they can continue to teach those authors.
And enrollment wise, you can see we just picked 2 year dates there. About roughly 700 student increase. That could also be due to the fact that we've increased programs as well. But knowing that it's 31.8% increase in students taking our CTE courses in the 4-year period there.
And that really speaks to not only more students, but more students taking more career and technical education in a variety of those sectors that we showed you earlier.
And the foundation that we have is going strong, and it goes back to what was said earlier. But not only just with the funding, but the job shadowing, the internships, the site visits. In fact, the ALC was able to jump on it on January 6th. We went on a day tour of Marshall businesses, and they were great. The businesses we visited were awesome. So Marshall is very lucky to have the businesses in town that are so supportive in regards to the CT programs. And it was great.
Their volunteerism to help serve on our advisory boards also is a tremendous benefit.
Yep. And I know we've had people come down to the CTI that have stepped into the shops during classes, helped students out as well, from like Ben Wright, ADM, and so on. They've come in just to give them their expertise back to the students. So that's nice to see there as well. Okay, so conclusions and next steps. Essentially, to recap, CTE prepares our students for success. It doesn't matter what the field is in. I mean, if they could be going into a 1-year degree somewhere or a 2-year associate's degree, or they could go to a 4-year degree or even up to a doctor. Because if you think about our CNA program, most of those doctors and nurses start with a CNA program, work in a nursing home for a while, and then they actually progress to their final stage in education or profession. Okay, so all the CT integrates all that academics and technical skills to prepare our students not only for college but for their careers. We address the workforce needs. Okay, a lot of that's based on what we do here. When I say here, I'm talking like the region with Southwest or Southwest Central Cooperative. We use the DEEDS report. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the Department of Employment and Economical Development. They have their website out on the state's websites there that you can look and get all this data on basically what the employment needs of this region. And with the Southwest Service Co-op, that kind of guides where the Carl Perkins funds are used and where they get spent the most. That also then drives what we do here essentially in our programs. Supporting educators and having that access, that prioritizing that funding and teacher recruitment is critical for us to maintain. As Brian said earlier, we need to have that for all our students to be, so that we can be successful in the program, but also our students can be successful. What are our next steps? Okay, one, we talked about the licensure. We need to make sure those that we had put on OFPs get finished with their licensure so that we can take them off of that and we'll be good to go. Okay, or recruit and train existing staff and try to help them get qualifications to fulfill some of these open positions if they are open. Articulation agreements is the next one. We don't have, looking at most of our programs, we don't have very many programs that have articulation agreements. Essentially, with the Southwest Service Co-op, we can go on their website and we just have to basically join in and download their agreements with like Minnesota West or Ridgewater or South Central down here in Mankato. There's not too many. In fact, I don't remember seeing any South Dakota there at all. But if we can jump on board there, what that means is our students could, if they go to, say, Ridgewater and they take the agreement with them, they can get basically 1 or 2 credits or 3 credits, depending on what the agreement is. And essentially what it is they don't have to pay for that credit. A lot of times they still have to take the course because the program wants them to make sure they're up to date, but it means that they can have 1 or 2 credits free, essentially what it is. So parents, saves the parents money essentially, or the students money. Okay. Program additions. One area, if you noticed on that one list we had earlier, was construction trades. That includes electricians and plumbers, and we are in dire need of that all over across the state. That's one area that we should try to see if we can develop, as well as our program expansions. That just fills some of those need gaps that we already have within our programs. One example is what I mentioned earlier was that emergency medical responder course that was suggested by North Ambulance. Be Dane Meyer, who works for North Ambulance. He was on our partnership team. He said that we need to, they're short of those types of workers. So if we can try to get kids involved in that, they can take them to the next step of getting their EMT license done.
Any questions that you all have for
Not so much a question, but just a statement from a parent standpoint. So my son's going through the program now. So, this is it's not an easy, class that these kids are going through. They have to work to get their grades. Watch my son's grades and you'll see it. So it's kind of exciting to see, but what I noticed is he's far more engaged, and staying on top of it and getting things done than perhaps in other courses. So as a parent, I'm excited to see that. So I'm happy that these classes are making a comeback, and it's great. And without our businesses in town to support it, this wouldn't happen. So thank you to our businesses.
It does seem like what we see with our young adults is they suddenly see relevancy in their courses as compared to, when am I ever going to use this type of a concept, even though those foundational skills that they're using were the skills that they developed back in their sort of theoretical classes that in elementary, middle school, and early high school, that they just thought, I'll never use this. Well, suddenly they're using it, and so it seems more relevant and they're more engaged.
We talk about meeting our mission and preparing all students for success. This is a great way that we do that. Dan, if you guys all know, Dan came with a strong background in CT when he came to us, and he's really done a nice job leading that program and helping to expand and for us to understand better all the different components of the programming and the funding, and that certainly helps grow it in those business partnerships. You're absolutely right. We've got great supporters in town, and they have been essential in making that happen.
And speaking from the employer side, we've hired many students that have gone through your health services program, and they are outstanding employees, and they come with strong clinical skills, which are hard to find in this area. So keep up the good work. It's helping the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Next item is our consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Tim. So motion by Tim and a second by Sarah. Yep. Right, Sarah Brink, to approve our consent agenda. I will call for the vote. It is approved. Our next item is approval of the bills for December of '25.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you,
I'll
Sarah.
second.
A motion by Sarah Brink and a second by Mary to approve the bills for 2025. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. And the bills are approved for December. Next item is an informational item, the treasurer's report. Any discussion on this? Any comments?
Only comments I would have is, being at the midpoint of the year, we're very close to what I had initially budgeted for this year. As far as expenditures go, we're just short of what we budgeted at 45%. So about a 5% difference, so we're under budget slightly for expenditures. But revenues were a little less, but that's all dependent on when our funding hits, and that isn't a consistent monthly thing. So, but I am feeling like we're really on budget with what we've been planning.
Thank you, Sarah. Next item is our board forum, board reports or updates. Anybody have any updates?
So last week, the Pride and the Tiger met. So they're in the planning stages of the senior scholarships. So those applications will be going out shortly. And then the ceremony will be in May for that one. The next round of teacher impact grants will be coming up. I believe the deadline for that is March 1st. So that'll be coming up. And then I would like to point out, so that the Bruce Lamprecht, saddened with him passing. He was a longtime member on Pride and the Tiger. So very sad for him passing, and condolences to Vicki and family.
Thank you for that, Sarah.
The only other thing probably to note is that the board did attend the MSBA conference last week. It was a good time to just kind of catch up on what's going on in other schools across the state, and for a chance for our board to network and plan for going forward.
Anyone else? Next item is administrator's report. We're going to skip that because of the time, so there's nothing real earth-shattering that Jeremy had to report.
No, the
so-
report's attached, so if anyone that's interested is welcome to read it and happy to take any questions people have about it.
Next item is our action items. The first one is approval of the school resource officer agreement.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Sarah Runcie and a second by Tim to approve the school resource agreement. Any further discussion?
Sure, this is just an update of an existing contract. We have had an SRO in the district for as long as I've been in the district. New person, but same position. So we share this position with the city. The school pays 50% of the salary and benefits, and they are an employee actually of the city and work under the direction of Chief Jim Marshall. And it's been a good resource for our school. He is primarily split between the high school and the middle school, but certainly will respond to any of the buildings as we need.
Thank you, Jeremy. I will call for the vote. That is approved. Next action item is approval of resolution of budget reductions. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
There's a motion by Sarah Brink and a second by Sarah Runcie to approve the resolution of budget reductions. Any further discussion? Sarah has a statement to read.
I do. So I am, good evening. I'd like to share some comments on this resolution on behalf of the board and the district administration. First, we want to thank individuals for sharing concerns and feedback regarding this budget resolution. We value and want to provide some clarity. We value the input and want to provide some clarity on the process and decisions that have been made. We would also like to offer that every part of this budget is available to the public at any time. In fact, of note tonight, every month we provide monthly updates on the budget, including what's been spent, what's coming in, all of those details. Just about every contract, I believe all are approved at meetings, discussed at meetings, discussed within the committees and so on. For over a year, we have communicated that without a successful operating referendum, significant cuts would be necessary. This has not been something that has been new to our district for some time. At the fall workshop this year, it was shared with all staff the list of potential reductions during the back-to-school presentation. Additionally, at the start of the school year, site principals met with the departments and staff who were anticipated to be impacted by the reductions in this resolution. In addition, this district made multiple presentations to multiple different stakeholders with regard to the budget proposals, the referendum, and other information. On September 2nd, a full presentation outlining the proposed cuts was shared with the community during a board meeting. Then on September 15th, the board approved a resolution directing reductions for the 2026-2027 school year should the operating referendum not pass. These decisions were made after careful consideration and a commitment to balancing fiscal responsibility with educational quality. None of the decisions that have been made were made lightly or without consideration of multiple scenarios and potential cuts. It is important to note that all areas of the district were carefully considered in these cuts. There is not a single reduction that is easy or will not impact students or staff, including administrative roles. We have heard feedback suggesting that administrative cuts should come first, and we want to clarify that administrative costs account for only 11% of district salaries. The proposed administrative cuts are significantly greater in that area, but cannot fully address the financial gap we face. Cuts in administration are included, but they alone would not stabilize the budget. We also want to address feedback regarding the restructuring of the Director of Business Services role into two positions, the Director of Finance and Director of Operations. While this may appear as an addition, it was necessary to ensure critical work could be completed effectively. Asking one person to manage both roles was no longer feasible given the size and complexity of our district. The creation of the two positions has and will continue to add savings to our district. Importantly, this change does not signal administrative excess. In fact, Marshall remains lean compared to similar-sized districts. Among 6 regional districts of comparable size, our district-level staffing most closely mirrors districts serving roughly 400 fewer students. Despite similar enrollment, Marshall operates with 9 to 11 fewer district-level staff than peers, underscoring a lean administrative structure relative to student population. The fact that there may be more administrative positions also needs to be considered, along with the increases in overall requirements placed upon school districts at the state and federal levels. Another option that has been considered was a proposed retirement incentive presented by the Marshall Education Association this academic year, and commented on this evening by several teachers. The board values the service of long-term teachers, and it was determined that this proposal is not in the best financial interest of the district at this time and does not align with our mission of prioritizing student needs. Further, it would not address the immediate needs with regard to our district budget at this time. We believe that these reductions reflect a balanced approach across all staff categories. The cuts will require some program restructuring and do consider protecting classroom instruction as much as possible when taken into consideration of all that our district needs to operate. Of note, 4 positions with administrative duties representing 12.5% of all administrative roles will be reduced. 1.5 parent-student connector positions reduced account for 33% of that department. 1 reduced custodial position accounts for 4% of all custodial positions. 6 support staff positions, representing 5.2% of all support positions, will be reduced. And 13.5 fewer teacher positions account for 5.7% of all teacher positions. Another issue that has been raised are benefits offered to administrative roles in the district. In our region, over 87% of school districts offer insurance packages that mirror ours. These are the current and past benefits offered. To attract and retain high-quality administrators, we must remain competitive in areas such as benefits. These factors are essential for maintaining a strong workforce and ensuring stability for our students. It should also be noted that the district offers a generous health insurance employer contribution to all employees. All groups negotiate the employer's contribution to insurance as part of their compensation package. Finally, the current benefits of all employees are part of a current contract obligation. All salary and benefits to all staff will need to be reviewed in the future, as is true for any employer. We, the Board of Education, have guided this process every step of the way. We represent the priorities of our community, and we are grateful for your engagement and commitment to our schools. These decisions are never easy, but they are necessary to ensure the long-term stability of our school district. We realize that this impacts several individuals in our district and have not made any of these decisions lightly. Thank you for your continued support and understanding.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, there is a motion on the floor by Sarah Brink and a second by Sarah Runcie to approve the resolution of the budget reductions. I will call for the vote. My mouse just quit working. And it is approved. With no other business, I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone, and thank you all.